Hey, you've made it to the podcast Recovery Captured, hosted by me, Shannon Louise, a certified recovery coach and self-verified addict. Join me on my journey through my recovery from mind-altering substances, eating disorders, depression, and much, much more. During this podcast, you'll hear my personal experience, thoughts, and opinions, as well as my guests' stories through their own recovery. I hope that you're able to take something away from this podcast and use it as a tool to help you see that your story is picture perfect.
Like, the rainbow one does not smell.
It smells like my dog's feet or something. Just kidding. It doesn't smell like Fritos.
No, I was gonna say, don't lump Finn and Willow in that category.
I know, right?
Oh my god, it smells... There's something about, like, bad dairy product about it. Oh god, I can't, and I keep going back for more. I don't know why. Okay, I'm done with that.
And then opened this sweet fluff that I got from one of our other podcasts.
Sweet fluff.
And it's like moon sand.
It is like moon sand.
But it's a fucking mess.
It is a fucking mess.
It makes me want to eat it.
I don't have that reaction when I look at it.
Really?
It makes
me want to chew on it. Kind of looks like taffy. That's a
well,
lie. It doesn't.
I don't like taffy, so maybe that's why.
I fucking hate taffy.
Yeah. Like saltwater taffy from Maine, yeah.
Or just like the Laffy Taffy.
Oh, fuck Laffy Taffy. If you like yellow Laffy Taffy, then there's something wrong with you.
I feel like there's something wrong with you if you like Laffy Taffy.
That's true.
Let alone yellow. Fucking banana.
I know.
It's like those runts or whatever they are.
Those are better than Laffy Taffy. But
I'm not gonna sit there and eat the yellow banana of runts.
I'd eat them in a mix. Mm-hmm. A fruit salad of runts. Shannon's like, no.
I fucking hate banana flavored stuff. You smelled it again.
I'm trying to like think of what it smells like. It smells like bad milk and gasoline. I feel like that's the closest I'm gonna come to describing it. Okay, I'm done.
Sometimes when I smell stuff, it like a picture comes up instead of like, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of that is like, if the game Clue had a smell, it would smell like that.
What? I can't be the only person that's gonna hear this and go, come again?
I don't know. Clue is such a shitty game.
Oh, I like Clue. Genuinely.
This whole Clue and yellow runts thing, I think
I don't like yellow runts. I'm just saying I wouldn't pick them out of a handful.
But you would play Clue?
Yes.
Okay, well, if Clue had a smell, it would smell like that.
That is a fascinating leap of thinking that you took. Wow. Now that I know this, I don't think I knew this about you. That you smell things and like actual things come up for you.
Yeah, or like if you smell like something fruity, it reminds me of
the fruit it smells like.
No, I think of like, depending on what it is, there's specific smells, but it's like, oh, okay, that's the ball that you get, like the big bouncy ball, not even a bouncy ball, it's like the kickball balls that you play outside with, that you would find at the grocery store. You know those balls? They're in the big, tall crates, and it's the crates filled with the balls.
I know the balls. What I'm struggling with is how you associate that with fruity smells.
Because Strawberry Shortcake. Remember her?
What the fuck does that have to do?
She was on the balls. She was on the balls, and so they're smelly balls.
You walked right into that. That was amazing. They're just smelly balls. Duh. Forgive me for not following you on that.
Or like if you smell a certain smell, it smells like Barbies. You remember the Barbie smell? We're just gonna move on.
Barbie smell?
You don't remember smelling Barbies?
No.
What? The fresh package of a Barbie. You know when you get into a new car and that fresh smell?
Well, yes, that's a thing though. A new car smell is a thing. New Barbie smell is not. No, there's no new Barbie smell air freshener.
Did you ever play with Barbies?
Yes, I loved Barbies. But I wasn't
Did you, though?
Smelling them.
You didn't have to smell them. The aroma came out when you opened the box.
I think you've just got like a nose thing.
Oh my god, if you knew. It's so weird. Like, smells. I'm like, Dane, do you smell that? He's like, what? It's like 7 miles away and I can smell it. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm pregnant.
I think this is a you thing. And I'm sure there'll be somebody who's going to listen to this who can relate. But the overwhelming majority are going to be on my side.
I think it's going to be the other way. I think you're the minority of the group.
I've never once gone, that was totally a new Barbie smell.
What?
That is, like,
you never
blowing
associate my mind. Smells with, like...
Yes, but not...
Past activities?
Yes, but not in the way that you are. Like, everything I smell, I'm not, like, that reminds me of whatever. Like, if I smell something, it'll make me think of what it is, not...
Like, if you smell sour apple, I'm not thinking of a fucking apple, because apples aren't sour. I'm thinking of, like, the sour apple lollipops that have bubblegum in the middle.
Okay, well, that I can understand. Because it's like, you're smelling sour apple, so you're thinking of something sour apple. I'm just perplexed.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm pregnant with this whole... I couldn't even...
No, you're going to be like, people are going to think you're on drugs. They're going to be like, this bitch is hearing trees talk, and things are smelling like new Barbies, and...
My baby shit smells like the game Clue. When I was really sick with my kidney infection a few months ago, I couldn't be around my dog. My dog doesn't smell, but she smelled. It was disgusting. Dane tried cooking meat. First of all, I don't like the smell of cooked meat. It's disgusting. But I literally could smell it for like 3 days. And it would make me so sick to my stomach. He's like, I don't smell it. I'm like, the dog fucking smells. But now that I'm totally fine, I like shove my face in her neck and I love the smell of her.
What does it remind you of?
Ooh.
The game Candyland?
No, but I'm going to tell you what does.
Oh boy, we're in for a treat.
Gushers.
Gushers remind you of the game Candyland.
The taste of Gushers.
The taste. So we went on to a different sense. And is it the appearance of Candyland? Is it the smell or the...
It's the action of playing Candyland as a child. I shit you not.
I know you're not. And that's the thing, too. I know you are not fucking with me. This is genuine. And I just don't know how to respond.
And the fun fact of it all is, I'm not high. If I was tripping balls, this would all make sense.
If she was tripping balls, she wouldn't be talking this way. She wouldn't go, this smells like the game Clue. Like, excuse me?
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either, but...
I don't know why I keep playing with the sweet fluff, because my fingers.
That's why I haven't touched it.
Your floor.
Oh, is it on the floor again?
Absolutely.
I just left it on the floor from last time. Well, I vacuumed it like a week after the last time we recorded.
Chilly.
Well, because I vacuumed the day before, and I vacuum once a week. It wasn't due yet.
You do it on designated days, don't you?
Yes. I try to vacuum on Fridays, but otherwise I vacuum on Saturdays if I don't.
I wish I was that organized in life.
Only about vacuuming, because I really disdain it, but I have a dog that you look at him and he sheds.
He does. He has funny hair.
He does. He's wiry. So the vacuuming is the one thing that I do on a designated day, because if I don't, then I make it this big fucking thing in my head, and I have to vacuum, and it takes me 10 minutes.
You know, I think that is a nice segue to our episode.
I am a little bit lost as to why it is, but I'm just going to let you run with it and be here for the ride.
Our episode is about getting sober young.
Which totally pertains to vacuuming.
Because that's an adult thing that we had to learn as children. Because we were so young getting sober.
All right, I don't hate that analogy.
We'll go further with it, right? What age were you when you got sober?
I was 19 years old.
How many months? Just kidding.
I think I was 19 and a half. My birthday's in July, and I got sober in February. July to August, August to September, September to October, October to November, November to December, December to February. No, December to January. January to February, so 7 months.
I was 21 in 8 months.
I love how you just knew that right off.
I didn't. That's the thing. I continued counting after you were done, because I got sober in March.
Oh, I see. So you just used my math.
I used you. Yes, correct.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's... And you were 21.
21.
21 in 8 months. You just said that. I'm keeping up. Yeah, that's... You only could legally drink for 8 months.
Yeah.
Did you go to bars, and did you like buy alcohol? Because I thus far in my life, and God willing will not, but to this day and time, that is not an experience I've ever had. I'm curious about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Did you have a fake? Did you go like as a teen and stuff?
I personally did not purchase or buy or find a fake, but yes, I had a fake. I had my ex-boyfriend. His family was lovely. His sister used her passport to get into the beer tent at the fair, and I used her ID to get into the beer tent at the fair.
Oh.
People are idiots, and they didn't even see that it was the same person.
Right.
And then his cousin, so mind you, I'm 20, I'm getting his cousin who's like 34 or something, much older. She gave me her ID to get into the bar on Halloween. We were dressed as Wilma and Fred. Is that who I'm thinking of from
Scooby-Doo?
Nope. Yabba Dabba Doo. The Flintstones.
Oh, the Flintstones.
The Flintstones. Fred and Wilma?
I think so.
Either or. Fred and his wife.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
I was dressed up as her, so I already had a disguise on, so you can fucking play anyone you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were the only times. And then I think, no, maybe I was 21. I don't know. He was friends with the bartender, so I'm sure I got in fine other times before I was 21. Other than that, yeah, I went when I was 21. I went to a few bars. I got kicked out of a few bars. I was a jackass when I was little. I never tipped. I didn't get kicked out because I got in a bar fight. I didn't get kicked out because I was being a bitch. I got kicked out because I didn't tip. Dick,
wow.
Right?
Damn.
I know. Well, that was cutting into my budget.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I
get it.
Yep. So, yeah, I partied a lot at bars, as often as I could. Other than that, I had friends and people that were older than me. My boyfriend at the time, he would provide me with anything I needed. So I didn't always find it necessary to go out.
I get it.
I then also purchased booze for the younger kids.
Yes.
She was only like a year younger than me, but...
Who was this that you were...
It was a coworker that I used to work with, and we became really good friends.
Oh, okay.
You know her sister, but I'll tell you on the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in the know.
Yeah. So did you ever have a fake?
No, I didn't. I didn't have the balls to.
No.
I was afraid of getting in trouble, which is so ironic. Despite my acting in ways that were illegal and very poorly, just not following a moral compass. Like, I've always had this streak of being afraid of getting in trouble, and I haven't listened to that frequently. I've oftentimes acted in spite of it, but that was my fear with a fake, was that I was going to get caught, I wasn't going to remember the address, whatever, and I felt like that just wasn't worth it. There were other ways to get alcohol.
There were always a lot of ways to get alcohol. And you know what the funny thing is like, we were so afraid, because I was too. I knew right from wrong, but I chose not to do it, right?
Right.
I was always afraid to get in trouble, but yet I will go meet a drug dealer in the middle of a shopping plaza in the parking lot and grab drugs off of them in the middle of daylight.
Right.
And not give two fucks about it.
Right. Yeah, I'm very choosy about when I am actually concerned about getting in trouble or not. And it oftentimes doesn't make a ton of sense.
It never does.
Yeah.
It never does. So what was it like when you got into recovery as a youngin?
It was a lot of things. That's a big question. I had a lot of fear that there wasn't going to be anybody my age.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you talked about that, like, in your story about how you were like, I am not 57 years old in a black trench coat under a bridge with, brown paper bag. And that was my fear, that people in a fellowship or other people I would meet who were sober were not going to be college young women. I was afraid that I was going to be surrounded by people who were not going to be like me, and also that I was afraid people would tell me that it wasn't possible for me to be one at the same time. I had coexisting feelings of hoping that I wasn't going to fit in, because if I didn't fit in there, then that meant,
you could still drink.
Right. And on the flip side too, if I don't fit in here and if I can't, identify this way, then what do I do? Because I'm at a point where I am recognizing now more than ever in my life that there's a problem going on, and I have a level of willingness now to address it and change more so than I've ever had in my life. And so if this isn't it, then where the fuck do I go from here? So these two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum coexisting. But I was afraid that there was going to be like a checklist of criteria that I had to meet in order to be considered an alcoholic and to fit in certain fellowships, or for other people who identify as in recovery or not to believe me. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing too.
Yeah, you gotta try to convince people that you're an alcoholic.
Right.
I always felt like I had to justify, Okay, so I feel like multiple people said to me oh, you haven't even been alive as long as I was drunk for.
Right.
Or how could you have hit a bottom at such a young age? Or I used for 8 years or something, and they're like, how do you know that you never want to drink for the rest of your life? Or just stupid things like that, as if what I went through wasn't enough, or what
totally.
my bottom was isn't enough, right? my story is going to look totally different from yours and other people's. And my bottom is going to look different from everyone's as well as everyone. You know, like we all have different bottoms and we're all going to get here in a way. And it's not like, I don't feel, I used to think I needed to justify myself as to, you know, like, like I had to explain myself. And it's like, no, I actually don't. And I'm super grateful that I got sober at 21.
Right. Yeah, I too was very defensive and felt that, especially people that didn't see me drinking, because there were a number of people in my life who I told them that I was sober and that I was no longer going to drink, because most of my drinking took place in Vermont, away from family and friends in New Hampshire, and so they didn't see it, right? They knew that I was a heavy drinker, but they just thought that I just was a partier, that I liked to party and have fun. And so I felt like I needed to explain to people, like, well, this happened and this happened and this happened, and that's why. And I struggled with that for a while, feeling defensive of my reasoning, and that what other people thought really mattered in terms of whether or not I was doing the right thing. Other people's, that's a theme in my life, is other people's opinions of me weigh heavily on me.
People's opinion, it just, why do I care so much?
I know. I wonder sometimes where that comes from and when that started with me. And for a while, my goal has always been to not, quote, not care. Right? Like I bought this book that every once in a while, I love to read. And every once in a while I'll see like a self-help book or something with like a witty title, and I'll buy it and I'll be like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. I bought this book, and like I haven't even read the book, so this is not any commentary on whether the book is even good or not. But it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
I've heard of it.
And I saw it and I was like, I'm going to buy that and I'm going to read it. Fast forward a few years, it's still on my bookshelf. I haven't read it because I feel like my expectation of myself to just not care what other people think is kind of unrealistic. I think I'm always going to care about what other people think of me, I think, and their opinions. What's different for me now is, do I let other people's thoughts and opinions dictate my behavior?
Right. We care so much about what people think of us. What about what we think of our own selves? Like bringing it back onto ourselves. Like, do you ever think about like the fact that you will never drink again?
Yeah.
What does that bring up for you?
A lot of things. It's definitely too. I need to say that it's evolved. Because early on, of course, if you've listened to the episode where I talk about my story, I had this plan that I was only going to drink for 6 months, or I was going to not drink for 6 months. And then, of course, that evolved and changed the longer I was sober, in seeing how difficult it was to stop. And then that was just very enlightening, in addition to hearing other people share their experiences of when they stopped drinking for a period of time and then started it again, and it was no different. It just picked up exactly where it left off. And so in that period of time, I just couldn't think of it that way. It had to be very much one day at a time. And oftentimes it was 1 hour at a time, one moment at a time, because one day was just too big of a scope. And now I think about it, but when I do, I don't shut the thoughts down so much as I just don't give them a ton of thought, because I just don't find it to be the most helpful thinking ever, because I struggle with living in the day and being present and not about what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next year. And any excuse I can find to think about the future, I like to grab it and hang on to, and just it creates fear and discomfort in my mind. So I just find it not super beneficial to really dwell on it and think, ideally, in a perfect world, in a perfect scenario, I won't drink again. Can I definitively say that? I say no, because I just can't predict the future.
Right, anything could happen.
That's not what I want for myself. And I think it is unreasonable for me to sit here and say right now I'm never going to drink again, because I don't know that. I know what I need to do in order to make the odds of that happening stay low. But can I 100% guarantee that that's going to happen? No, I can't.
Yeah, you mentioned how you have to keep it like one day at a time. I was like 1 minute at a time. You know, I couldn't imagine like going 20 minutes without getting high, let alone 20 hours.
Right.
20 days, 20 months, whatever it may be. Like, I couldn't even imagine that. 1 minute at a time, I couldn't fantasize about picking up a drink. Or if I did, and I had this craving that I couldn't get away with, I'm going to put it on hold, and in an hour, I'll come back to it.
I did the same exact thing.
Like, I'm going to put this on hold. We'll touch base in a little bit. And if I'm still feeling that way, I'm not going to fucking act on it. I'm going to wait another hour.
Right.
And I just kept pulling it and pulling it and pulling it to the point where I didn't have these cravings anymore.
Right.
But 1 minute at a time is where I had to start. Because for me, getting sober so young, knowing that I only had 8 months or whatever it was to drink legally, right? And now it's like, I will never drink again.
Right.
And that really weighed a lot on me, especially for some reason, my wedding.
Interesting. Yeah.
My wedding day always popped up, and it's like, I will never be able to drink on my wedding day. I will never be able to have that toast or get shitty while we get ready or whatever. All the time, that always popped up. I didn't have a boyfriend. I don't have a fiance. I have no venue. I have no plans. You know what I mean? But for some fucking reason, I'm going to get married in and around the near future, and now I can't drink.
Right.
That really tousled my feathers.
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, that fear of that FOMO.
What's FOMO?
Oh my God, you don't know what FOMO is? Fear of missing out.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Oh, that's FOMO at its finest.
Fear of missing out. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, yeah, my thinking originally was, in early sobriety, it was very much, I have to stop drinking. And now, oh, woe is me, poor me type thing. But now it is much more, I got to stop drinking so young, right? It's this totally different perspective in terms of how much time and pain and suffering I have saved myself from because of getting sober young, which I didn't appreciate at the time. And I just wasn't in a place to at that time, and that's okay. But now as time's gone on, I have a different level of appreciation for it.
Yeah, you mentioned like flipping that role of like, you said, poor me, it's pour me another one type of deal.
Yeah.
And you flip that narrative to like poor me to I'm grateful. I'm grateful today that I don't have to drink. I'm grateful that I'm going to be sober for my wedding. Right. Like, I'm grateful that I still don't have a fiance. I still don't have a venue, but I do hope that I do get married. And when I do get married, I will be completely and utterly sober, and I will be able to remember every single moment of that day.
Right.
You know, versus like, I'm never going to drink at my wedding. Like, fuck off. Fuck off.
Right.
It's one special day. Like, let's remember it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to have fun.
Yeah.
You know, because
yeah.
we always forget, especially in early sobriety or even before, like, we're not going to have fun.
Right. Exactly.
There's no such thing as fun in sobriety. I'll be the one to first tell you that that's a lie.
Right.
Right? There's so much fun. And so for me to never drink again, like, okay. And the fact is, like, I don't even think of it that way. Like, when I had that thought, I don't think of that anymore. Like, I don't fucking care if I'm not going to drink, you know? It's not a thought that comes into mind. But when I was first sober, it's like I had to replace that narrative with something else. Like, I had to catch myself. Okay, I am acknowledging that I am talking about never drinking again. I need to switch my thought. And I would, like, verbalize that out loud to myself. Like, not an option, next thought, you know?
Right.
What was that, what was it? The MOGO? What? FOMO. I almost said homo, but I knew that wasn't appropriate.
Mocha?
Mocha? So FOMO?
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like a child that doesn't want to go to sleep because they don't want to miss out on anything.
Right.
I didn't want to miss out on a lot. You know, like my friends and their bachelorette parties. Unsure why I keep going back to wedding references, but it's like I had a fear that I wasn't going to have fun because everyone else is, you know, out going to the strip clubs or to the bars, and they have to make a special occasion for me because I don't do that. At least early in sobriety, which now it's like I'll go to a fucking strip club and a bar with you. Like, I'm okay.
Right. No, you know? Exactly. No, I totally get that. I totally relate. Exactly. These, like, events of, I mean, for me, one was my 21st birthday. I was terrified. I was so nervous that I don't even know exactly what I was afraid of. I think a lot of it was fear about being uncomfortable on my birthday and wanting to drink and just being afraid of that feeling, because nobody forced a drink down my throat. You know, like if anyone's gonna drink, it's gonna be me picking up the drink and doing it myself. And so, and I didn't. I celebrated my birthday sober, and it was a real combination of fear and anxiety and some sadness of the, you know, like mourning a, you know, quote, typical 21st birthday. And that, you know, my friends were posting pictures and going out to the bar and doing this or doing that, and that wasn't my experience too. And but part of the problem too is that I think that my experience is going to look like theirs. Right. And it's just not. Time and time again, I've seen that when I drink, it doesn't look like other people. And that is just part of the insanity piece of my disease, where I think that next time is going to be different just because I want it to be, when experience has just shown that that's just not going to happen. So there was sadness and mourning, but there was also a sense of, I'm doing this. Right. Like I could go out and get shit-faced if I wanted to. I can go buy alcohol legally now, but I'm not. And I'm so grateful that I didn't. And that I haven't had a legal drink. But yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot to it. And also recognizing too that, like, it's okay to for me, I think it is okay to be sad and to mourn some of those normal experiences to a degree. When I say normal experience, I mean about people who...
What society has
Right.
planted in our minds.
Right.
And I think mourning is such a great word. Because we all have this idea of our 21st birthday and what that's going to look like. You know?
Right.
What did you do on your 21st birthday?
I went down to, I think it's called Fire and Ice in Boston, with my family. And we went out to eat there. And then I forget what we did for dessert. I'm sure we went to some kind of bakery down there. But I really wanted to go out to dinner there. It's like this, like... It's kind of buffet, kind of not, where they like make everything right in front of you. Like, have you ever been, or do you know what I'm talking about? It's this cool restaurant where like you basically like pick out everything you want, and they have like big like hibachi style grills, and they like just like make everything in front of you, and it's like you can just keep going and like mix and match like whatever you want, and it was just so much fun. Like,
see, that's the kind of 21st birthday I would want now.
Right? Well, exactly. Exactly. And we got kind of dressed up, and we went out, and I didn't drink.
I don't know. Do you have pride around getting sober young?
Yes.
It holds a heavy weight on me, like in a good way.
Yeah.
For me, getting sober, I don't want to say I brag, but I'm gonna pat my fucking arm on my shoulder. What? I'm definitely going to pat myself on the back.
I'm going to pat my arm on my shoulder on the back.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, I have no idea where that was going. But yeah, I'll flaunt it a little bit. You know? Like, yeah, I got sober at 21. I think that's a fucking huge accomplishment.
It is.
And then to stay sober. You know? Like, some people are, you know, when you talk about your sobriety date and people are like, oh, it's just for today, or how many years doesn't really matter. And it's like, fuck that bitch. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like that holds a heavy weight on me of like, I'm super proud of getting sober at 21, staying sober, and now having 8 years.
Right. Right.
Like, that is another reason why I choose not to drink.
Right.
You know, let alone I don't understand, which we talked about. I don't understand just having one. So, of course, I'm going to go out because I need to black out. Right. And then, too, it's like I don't want to let go of being sober for 8 years. Like, that's a huge number for me.
It is. It is. Yeah. My philosophy on it is that having, long-term sobriety doesn't guarantee me continued sobriety. I believe that it makes my chances much better, and I am in a different place now than I was 6 years ago.
Right.
For sure. If things didn't change, then I wouldn't be sober. Thank God things changed, because I took the drink away, and I was still left with me. It's not like I stopped drinking and things just all fell into place. It was kind of the opposite. I stopped drinking, and then everything got even messier.
That's so true. I never thought of it like that. But yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
You put down that drink, and now it's everything else. Right. Putting down the drink is like 1% of...
Right, it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just beginning. I thought it was the end.
Yeah.
I thought that was all I needed to do, and it just hasn't been my experience.
Not mine either. I put it down, and now I got to work on everything else, because it's a thought.
Right.
That thought process and everything behind it, and I have to change the way I think. I need to change the way I act. I need to understand more about myself, and there's like so much more after putting down that drink.
So much more to be discovered, which is daunting, which can be really scary, but I don't know, I think of this question that someone who's been a real mentor to me in my sobriety asks, it's, Jillian, how free do you want to be? And I want to be free. I want to be free from the shit that I just come with, just being who I am. I refer to it kind of just as my brain, that my brain brings, and the shit that I get myself into because of the ways that I think. Like, I want to be free from those like shackles, that like prison of self-destruction. 'Cause that's what it is.
It really is. It really is. So what would you tell, like, a young individual who is suffering? I think we should break it down in a few of, like, what would you say to an individual that is suffering, and then what would you tell them, like, in the early years of sobriety as a young individual?
Can you repeat that? I was distracted.
Are you checking your phone again?
I just need to make sure that...
Is there a fire we need to go put out?
No, everyone's good.
All humans safe?
All humans safe.
Okay. All right, so what would you tell a young individual who is suffering with drugs and alcohol?
There's a number of things. I know from my personal experience where I'm coming from with this advice would be that there isn't an age requirement. There isn't a checklist of things that you need to have done or have had happened in order to qualify as an alcoholic or as somebody or an addict or someone who could use recovery. Because I know that was something that I struggled with, thinking that I hadn't done enough or if things hadn't been bad enough. Because I just had this arbitrary picture in my mind. So if you are struggling with that, I would say that's just stuff we make up in our brains. It's not real. It's just a way that our disease is trying to keep us away from other people. And I think, is it Brene Brown that talks about the opposite of addiction being connection?
I don't know who it was, but I love that quote.
Yeah. I mean, that's really relevant for me, and what I'm trying to get at there is that it's my addiction trying to keep me away from other people and isolated, because that's where it thrives.
It's like what they always say is, like, your addiction or your alcoholism is right outside the door doing push-ups waiting for you to open that door.
Right.
Bitch, please. Mine's right next door. Like, mine's sitting right here.
Right.
Doing leg curls. And shoulder presses all at once.
Right.
Knowing that if I look at it, we going out. You know?
Yeah. What would you say?
Questions like that, I think about my younger self. And when I think about my younger self and how much I hurt, it like makes me want to cry. Yeah. It does. So when I am asked that question, I think about myself, and it's like, you're not alone.
Right.
Because I felt so alone. Even though I was filled with so many people. Physically and spiritually. No, just kidding. Am I though? No. You know, like, I had so many people around me, but yeah, I felt so alone.
Yeah.
You know, I was stuck in all this pain, and I felt like that there was no hope. This is how life is going to be.
Right.
And to know that I was able to climb out of that and, like, continue to seek help past putting down that drink has really helped me understand that the opposite of addiction is connection. I was able to make some phenomenal friends, phenomenal acquaintances, you know, through the 12-step fellowship. Made some really great connections, and working with alcoholics and addicts, in sober living, I was able to meet even more people and, you know, be able to spread the word so people like me can hear that
Right.
there's hope,
Right.
that you're not alone.
No, you're not.
So I think that's what I would say. You know, you're not alone. Don't be afraid to seek help.
Right.
There's such a, I hate it so much. There's so much stigma.
There is. And it can be really overwhelming and daunting and terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But the key is acting through fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like that cliche of like fear is a mile wide and a mile high, but paper thin. And you can just bust right through it. I mean, it's easier said than done because obviously, if you're looking at this, you know, if we're thinking of fear as a physical thing, you know, being extremely wide and tall, but it's easier to get through than it appears.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that is true, and I just have to do it. And I have to do it multiple times in order to remember and have it in my fanny pack.
Mm-hmm.
My fanny pack of tools and memories that I can pull out and go, oh yes, exhibit A of when I walked through fear and survived. Exhibit B, exhibit C, exhibit D.
Right, it has
EFG.
to be. It has to XYZ. It needs to become a muscle memory.
Totally.
Because if you just do it once, it's like, oh, okay, I forget. You know, but it's that. The definition of insanity is doing something over and over again. What is it?
I was just thinking about this the other day. It's doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Yeah. You know?
I don't know what's so funny.
I don't know either. I've had a long day.
Yeah. And we've been banging out this recovery talk. Yeah. Getting sober young, man. Creak, 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 creak. Those aren't my joints, I swear.
Would you do it again?
Get sober young again? Oh yeah. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of where I was years ago. I mean, of course, there is an element of maturing as you get older, but getting sober young, you grow up fast. You know, like I get told a lot that I have an old soul.
Mm-hmm. We had to grow up fast, and that's why you're vacuuming on every Friday. There's the loop. You're fucking welcome.
It's just funny. I mean, I just think of at work, like people, I mean, I'm 25, and people are always like, you're only 25? Like, you just seem...
Mature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I can't really take credit for it. Life circumstances have necessitated growing up quickly.
Mm-hmm. You know, the thing is like, I feel like we grow up quickly, yet I feel like I missed out on so much. Like, missed out on life opportunities to the point where I would be further in life. Like, yes, I got sober at 21, but I also didn't go to college. Like, I went for that 1 year, but that was a shit show. But, like, I didn't go back to college until I was, like, 23 or something. You know, like, if I started in 2010, like, I would have already gotten my degree. And I would have already had, you know, the perfect career. And then I would already be married and all this stuff. And sometimes I feel like I still missed out on a whole bunch because I was using for all those years. Even though I got sober really young. It's kind of a warped thought, and
I get it.
But then on the other hand, I'm like, I'm fucking glad I didn't go to school for what I wanted to back in the day, and I'm super glad I didn't get married to the person who I should have been married to at this hypothetical time frame that society puts on us, or my idea, you know, like, thank God I didn't go to school. Thank God I didn't get married. Thank God I didn't have a kid.
Right?
You know? But still, I still sometimes feel like I missed out on a lot, and I feel like sometimes I didn't accomplish enough.
I get that. I do get that. I feel like there is this societal pressure to reach these certain milestones at certain points in your life, and for your life to look a certain way. And I mean, I went to college and completed college in sobriety, and got my degree, and my life afterward has looked a certain way, and I still, like, even though, like, I have been on that quote, like, track, I'm trying to think
the track that society has created for us.
Right.
You've stayed on it.
In a sense, I'm trying to think of how to word what I'm.
It's okay. Just start describing it, and we'll interpret it.
It hasn't been all rainbows and butterflies either. Like, there have been plenty of things like I had a different experience of, like, the quote typical person in terms of, like, getting fucking sober at 19 years old, and, like, now in my life, like, looking at what I went to school for and trying to figure out, like, is this really even what I want to do? Yeah, I feel like there's so much pressure from society in terms of this timeline of when you should go to school and when you should have kids and be in a relationship and whatever. And I know, like, I felt pressured in regards to that. I mean, I got sober when I was in college, and I finished going to school, and I ended up getting my degree. And I, despite being, like, in the societal timeline, like, I have had questions of, like, did I go to school for the right thing? Like, I picked this, area of study and years ago and just have plodded ahead with it, and never really questioned whether or not it was what I actually really wanted to do, right? And so, yeah, like, I've done, what, like, in the timeline, I've done what, is you're supposed to do, or, like, whatever, but, like, am I better for it? I just think that there's so much pressure, and I just think it's a lot of bullshit, and that people are dealt different hands, and it's just unrealistic to expect everybody's life to take the same trajectory. And if you don't take this trajectory, then you're unsuccessful, or you didn't accomplish as much, or whatever. Because that's just, I know for me, like, my brain twists things and tells me that kind of stuff, when in fact, like, I've accomplished so much in my life, and just because it's not, like, what like, looks most stereotypically normal, like, whatever the fuck that means, it's just my brain trying to discredit myself and what I've gone through.
Well, I feel like it's going back to your brain is discrediting. It's like your addiction is doing push-ups right next to you, making you think differently, so you fall back into that behavior or that mind, that state of mind of, like, poor me, or I'm a shitty person, I think, I feel like society, you're right, plays a huge role on what we're expected to look like, or what our life is expected to look like, and to achieve. And so, yes, you went on the stereotypical path, and I veered off, and now I'm sitting here telling you I have second guessed my life and should have gone on that path that you're on, and then you're sitting here telling me, like, oh, maybe I should have waited a little bit, not gone on that path, you know? So it's like, well, why am I so, like, up my butt about following these made-up guidelines?
Right.
I don't know. I think about that a lot with, like, everyday life. I feel like it's totally it's starting to change with, like, all the movements that are happening, and everyone, like, opening up about their gender and their color, or whatever it may be. And, like, people not having babies.
Right.
Like I'm almost 30 and I don't have a kid, and that's okay.
Right.
Like that's normal now.
Right. Right.
Like I think it's kind of weird. Like you had a baby at 24.
I know, right? I'm excited.
You know?
Yeah, I'm excited that things are changing and that, yeah, you don't have to, people's different experiences are being validated and
Right.
it's not one size fits all because it's just not.
Can't be.
No.
We got to break out of that. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to get fucking sober at 18 or 21 or whatever it may be, more power to you.
Amen.
You know, I just feel like you're going to clear up so much of the wreckage so much faster. I think that you're going to feel much better.
Amen.
You know, because if I sat in my shit any longer, I don't think I would be here.
Right.
I would have offed myself or drugs would have offed me. You know, like I was not happy. I was not excited about life. On the outside, hell yeah, I was. You know, but on the inside, I was broken.
Right.
So I feel like for whatever reason, for whatever power is above me, like that day was the day I needed to hear it. Like March 20th of 2013, I needed that family intervention and I needed my family to threaten the rights of my nephew. You know, of me seeing my nephew. If it happened a day before, if it happened a day later, I don't think I'd be here.
Right.
I don't know why I didn't Google what, 12-step fellowship was the night of the 19th, because I could have, and I could have talked my way out of it.
Right.
Or I could have made up this idea or whatever. I could have tried to control the whole situation, but for some reason I didn't Google it.
Right. And thank God you didn't, right? I mean, stuff has a way of working out.
Right. So, yeah, I'm grateful that I got sober young. I'm grateful I still have my sobriety, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to share it and, give a little bit of experience and hope to the next individual, whether you're young or old, doesn't matter, whatever you identify as, age-wise, you got it.
Yeah.
That's
true.
It's never too late.
Right. You're not too young or too old or too this or too, you're not too far gone or there's no barrier. The only barrier is the one that we make up in our brains.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Well, I feel like if we continue to go, we could talk about it forever. But I think we could save another episode for, talking a little bit more about, getting sober young or whatever it may be. But
hell yeah.
I think right now we should call it quits and, reach out on social media. You can check it out in the description below and let us know if you have any questions, thoughts, or ideas. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.